So, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your story?
Okay, I'm Marsha Gladwish, and I'm in my 50s. I'm single, I'm an artist, I love Jesus, and I have cancer. Well, I've been to Nicaragua and Cambodia, Morocco, Thailand, lots of amazing places. It's interesting, no matter what the culture that I'm in, art can connect our Creator with people's hearts.
And you mentioned that that you're fighting stage 4 cancer.
Yes, the word terminal has profound meaning for me now. Each of my days are held together by the Lord. Each of those days are important to Him, but my time might be short. When I head out for a short-term missions trip, I look up at the words airport and then terminal, and terminal has taken on a new meaning for me. God has redeemed that word. I look at that word and I say, Lord, send me, and then we go through those doors together. In Cambodia, on a Frontline for Justice trip, the team traveled to Soldier Camp, which is an army base, and there were also the wives and children at the camp. And my part of the team ministered to the women at the camp. We shared the story of the prodigal son. We had communion. Another woman on the team shared part of her story. Then we sang songs, they sang songs. But the women just didn't want to leave. They just waited. We kind of didn't know what to do, and I said, well, I do have my collage gospel cards, so I guess I could share those. And so my translator and I sat in front of the ladies who were just on the floor on a mat, just in the bush, in the dirt, and I shared about Jesus and how He had given them His righteousness for their darkness, the darkness of their hearts. And I showed a beautiful white card for a collage dark card with different dark pieces of painted papers. And I said, you can have that exchange right now. You can have His righteousness for your darkness of heart. You may not get a better hut. Your husband may not ever become a better man, but your greatest problem can be solved today if you take Jesus as your Savior and His righteousness. Would anybody like to do that? Then very quietly, the woman that we had prayed for earlier put her hand up, and then a sea of women raised their hands to have Jesus and His righteousness in their hearts. And my translator turned to me and said, we don't do this kind of thing here. And I said, well, when God is on the move, maybe you do. It was an amazing afternoon.
So, Marsha, what would you say to someone who hasn't been on a missions trip before?
I'd say be available and know that God is on the move. He's working all around the world, and go ahead and join Him in what He's already doing.
Hi, we're the Nelsons. Welcome, come on in and make yourself comfortable. Hi, my name is Nate Nelson, and this is my wife, Chris, and we've lived in this home for 3 years. When we first moved to Seattle, our values were to live in an area and in a home that we could bless others and, just be connected to the neighborhood.
When we first moved in, it was through the winter time, and when we got here, nobody came out and greeted us. I mean, we were a little bit shocked. Like, this seemed like a very small, kind of intimate area. We're at the end of a cul-de-sac, and there's 2 houses on either side of us, and we didn't see anybody for a couple months.
When the block party idea came about, and we, started to go, what's this about? And so when it kind of unraveled, like understanding what it meant and just the steps that we needed to take with that, we shared that with a couple neighbors that we've been meeting with and having the same ideas, and it just came about that let's do this. You know, we just took it and just went with it, and it turned out that we had 70 people in our neighborhood come to a block party.
We had this toolbox essentially from North Shore. It was like, oh, this is perfect. You know, it's summertime, we're looking for ways to connect. We've been in our home for a couple years, so it really was helpful to know that we had some tools to get started. Like, we didn't have to create it and come up with it by ourselves. It was in our heart, but we didn't know how to step out and make it happen. And so we were really surprised. You know, I think it's really not as hard as we thought it would be. I think we're just really being intentional, like Nate said, and stepping out and finding opportunities to meet with our neighbors and just relating with them.